Hi everybody, I'm Rav Mo, and this is my new series, It Begins With Us. And what we're going to do here is we're going to start from the beginning of the Torah, Genesis, Bereishis, but we're going to read it in a new and exciting way. It's very easy to read, especially these opening passages of the Torah, either as a narrative or as a deep philosophical or metaphysical work, but oftentimes we miss a very crucial way of reading this text. The word Torah means guidance and instruction. And so every verse of the Torah should be teaching me about what it is to live the most fulfilled and amazing life. It's very easy to look at the patriarchs and matriarchs and say, oh, that's how we live as moral people. To look at the commandments of Moshe Rabbeinu and say, oh, that's what it means to be a good Jew and a good human being. But what about the 7 days of creation? Do those have nothing to teach me? The answer, I think, is absolutely they do. So, if you'll bear with me, we're going to unlock some secrets in these opening passages of the Torah that teach me about what it is to be a human being, a Jew, living right now in this time in the 21st century. Let's begin. The opening verse of the Torah. Bereishis bara Elokim es hashamayim v'es haaretz. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Simple, beautiful. There's only one problem. It's factually incorrect. When did God create the heavens and the earth? Well, if you just read a few passages on, you go to day 2, and that's when God created the heavens. You go to day 3, that's when God created the earth. So what's going on here? Is the Torah contradicting itself within only a space of 20 verses or so? I think if you'll look a little bit more deeply into the words, it will reveal a little bit of a nuance. And this nuance will help us to understand what's the vital function and the role of a human being on this planet in this lifetime. Okay? It's a tall order, but I think we can do it. See, when God creates the heavens on day 2 and the earth on day 3, He's creating heavens and earth, generally, the substance, ground and air. But in the beginning, God created something conceptual called the heavens and the earth. What is represented conceptually by ground and air? Well, in order to answer that, we have to look at the Hebrew roots of these words. So, bear with me, it's pretty simple. What is the word heavens in Hebrew? Shamayim. Shamayim, that means heavens. Now, what's the root of that word? What's the essence of that word? The Vilna Gaon in the 19th century tells us, I believe 18th century, tells us that the root of Shamayim, of heavens, is Sham. The word Sham means there. Okay, that makes sense. The heavens are something that's over there. They're not here. They're far away. Fair enough. What about the word earth? So to that we turn to the Midrash, the oral teaching of the Torah, which tells us that the word earth, eretz, comes from the root ratz, meaning to run. Okay, that's fascinating. What does the earth have to do with running? Seems pretty solid and immobile to me. But if we put these two together, I think we're going to unlock the puzzle. The earth, eretz, is a place of running. The heavens, Shemayim, is a place of there. Put in another way, we could translate it like this. The earth is a place of running because it's a place of process, of journey, of movement, of going. The heavens, by contrast, the Shemayim, are a place of being there. You're done. When you get to heaven, you're finished. There's no more mitzvahs, there's no more growing, there's no more jobs to do, you're done. Now, let me blow your mind for a minute. What was reality like before anything was created? Before there was any time and space? Can you even talk about process and destination, the journey and the arrival, when you don't have time or space? Any journey takes place either in time or space. You traverse the 6 days of the week to get to the weekend. You climb the mountain to reach the summit. That's how we describe a process. When there's no time and space, everything's collapsed into itself. You're there already. So, the very first act of creation was the separation of time and space, so that there is a moment, a space, an existence of process, and that's this world, the world in which we get to work on ourselves, the world in which we get to do, give, help. And then there's the world of being done, the world of being finished, and that's the heavens, Shemayim, Sham, over there. Now what that tells us is something very, very amazing. If this world is the eretz, the rats, the running, the process, and the next world is the place of Shemayim, of Sham, of there, then that means that so long as we are on this earth, there is no real sense of being there, of being done. Everything about this world is there to help you run, to help you do, to help you engage in a process. Now, I know this seems sometimes a difficult task because our bodies are inertial. That's one of the laws of thermodynamics, which is that objects at rest tend to stay at rest. And there are plenty of forces operating on us to keep us sitting in our chairs comfortably in front of the television. But the world doesn't tolerate that. If we're looking for fulfillment, we will not find it in resting when we're still in a world of running. Everything we have to do has to involve movement, process, and journey. Now, I think we understand this on a certain level. Human beings are restless. We like to move. We like to grow. We like to strive for something higher and higher, and sometimes that can really bother us, that we always feel like we never have enough. But I think that there's a way to embrace that in a very healthy and beautiful way. There is a process, a state of being that can be achieved that provides unbelievable fulfillment and happiness, so much so that the psychological and behavioral researchers of the last 20, 30 years have already recognized this state of being. And they've said that far more fulfilling and joyful than any passive act of resting, of hanging out at the beach, of watching TV, of having things be done for you, is the act of doing things to your greatest capacity, right at the edge of your abilities. That's where you enter a state called the flow state. Have you heard of the flow state? The flow state is basically being in the zone. Athletes feel it all the time. People who get into the zone in a flow state when they're painting or when they're solving complex mathematical problems or even coding say that they feel like something is possessing them, that they're able to achieve way beyond their abilities, and that's the moment when they feel the most alive. You can even get this from playing video games, frankly. It's not necessarily the most productive thing to do, but that's a type of game, a type of activity that challenges you to your greatest, utmost capacity in a certain framework. Being in a flow state means that you've hit that moment of running, of connecting with the energy that the earth has to give to us. So long as we are here, the best way that we can fulfill ourselves is through running. Now, unfortunately, we fall into the trap of thinking that we can be done and that we can find real satisfaction in collapsing on the couch, collapsing on the beach. I think it's very interesting that you can tell a lot about a person by the way that they look at their vacation time. What's vacation? Do I work in order to get to the holiday? Or do I say that I love my work? I love being involved in the chase, in the thrill, in the hunt, in the growth. But sometimes I burn out and I need a little bit of relaxation time so that I can get back out there in a few weeks. This is a major framework shift. And I would be willing to bet you that you would actually enjoy your holiday or your vacation more if you saw it as a way to recharge, to get back into the fray, as opposed to placing all of your hopes on that vacation to say, "Ah, this is the moment where I'll be done. I will have arrived." I'm sorry to say, but you're setting yourself up for disappointment. Because as we've said, this world, the Eretz, so long as we're on the earth, this is a place of rats. This is a place of running. Shemayim, over there, the place where we're finished, we're not there yet. And hopefully we won't be there for a good while. Now we can talk about that. We can say there is something called a destination. We do not, as Jews, think that there is no such thing as a destination. We're just going and there's nowhere to get to. No. We're building up to things. Things that we do down here actually count and are being recorded, stored, whatever you want to call it. They're being remembered because what they are matters and they're real. But that's not the place down here where we collect that, where we get to enjoy that on a full level. There are tastes. It says, the Talmud says, that Shabbat is just a taste of that world to come, where you can almost feel a little bit like you're totally done. And yet, as we know, that as sundown approaches and it's the nighttime, we got to go back into the next week. So we can never truly feel that down here. So why try, my friends? Why try? The beginning of the Torah, Bereishis, is telling us that the first thing God created was a separation between process and destination. And what a blessing it is. Because so long as there's no such thing as process, there's no such thing as movement, there's no such thing as growth, there's no such thing as drama, there's no such thing as hope. We live in a world of growth, hope, joy, the joy of growing, the joy of giving, the joy of earning who we are. One day we'll get to that moment where we can take everything in, take a big breath, and say that we're done. But for now, my friends, the beginning of the Torah says to you, so long as you're on this planet, be a runner. This is an eretz, and you have to rotz. You have to run. So, I hope you've enjoyed. I hope you've gotten something out of this. I know for me this is profound, even though it's difficult for me because I'm a lazy person just like everybody else. But I've started to realize that the more that I habituate myself to the act of uncomfortably pushing myself to grow and to move, even when my body's pulling me down, then I truly enjoy that way more. And sometimes that means making sure that I don't get too used to the comfort. Today we live in the 21st century where thankfully we have a lot of automation, a lot of machines, and a lot of things that do things for us behind the scenes. There are lights whirring so that we don't have to chop wood for a fire. There are refrigerators making sure that our food stays cold. There are computers that are working on the energy grid all the time. I sleep on a very comfortable coiled mattress in a temperature-controlled house. But all of that means that I'm getting used to being inertial. It means that I'm used to being totally at rest, that there's nothing irritating me and nothing bothering me at all. And what that means is that I now have to actively and consciously try to go against the grain and make sure that I taste and remember what it's like to be a little bit uncomfortable. Different things work for different people. Sometimes that's getting up early to go for a run. Sometimes that's taking a cold shower. Sometimes that's fasting for half a day so that you just feel what it's like to do something a little bit difficult. Because we only change and grow and move when we're slightly uncomfortable. If we're too comfortable, if things are too soft and too easy, well, then we fall into the trap of thinking that I'm happy, even though what I really am is probably just comfortable. And comfort and happiness are quite different things, extremely different ideas. So, if we want to get the most joy, the most fulfillment out of this world, we've got to run. We've got to stay active. We have to realize that we are on an ongoing process, a journey that will never end so long as we're alive. So, my friends, enjoy the journey. Appreciate the journey. Love the work. Love the sweat. Love the striving. To the extent that you do, that's how much you will appreciate being done. when you are in a long time from now. Thanks for watching or listening. I hope you enjoyed. Stay tuned for the next one.